Coming up, we have the scores and scorers to close out round 4 of the NRL and round 6 of the Super League, and where those teams land. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel NRL Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and if you want to continue seeing more. Also, if you'd like to donate to the channel, there is my Buy Me a Coffee campaign, and also in one of the comments from yesterday, another way that you can donate, and it will go towards a rugby league campaign, which you guys will help me decide in the future. Anyway, we'll begin our episode as we look at the NRL, as there were 3 games played that had some very startling results. For a change, for the first time this season, 3 games were played on Sunday, with Newcastle Knights being the second game against Canberra Raiders, and St George Illawarra Dragons versus Cronulla Sharks closing off round 4. The first game saw the Warriors face the Bulldogs, and they are both proof of how things can change in an over and off season. And after disappointing campaigns last year, they met on Sunday, with each having a chance to finish the first month with a 3-1 record. Canterbury haven't done that since way back in 2016, while the Warriors, it was 2018 which they did that. In both cases, it would mark the last time that both clubs entered the playoff picture. The Warriors were impressive in their 26-12 victory over the Cowboys in Townsville's Heat in the round 3 fixtures, holding North Queensland scoreless from the 14th minute onwards and completing 19 out of their 23 sets in the second half. Led by a strong showing from 5'8" Maria Martin, the Warriors have made 7 line breaks in what was an impressive first win in Australia since April 2022, while off the ball they allowed the Cowboys to break their line just once. Bulldogs coach Cameron Cirilo, meanwhile, will have mixed feelings after last week's 26-22 victory over West Tigers, as he watched his side's power to a comfortable lead before a late collapse saw them almost throw it all away. Led by hooker Reid Mahoney, there were a number of individual standouts for the Dogs, with Matt Burton finding his running mojo. Their attacks goes to a next level. The Bulldogs have hated trips to New Zealand in recent times and are without a win across the Tasman since 2014, while the Warriors have won the last 4 head-to-head meetings between the two sides. How did they both get on? It was the Warriors that came out with the victory, 16-14, with Jacob Kiraz opening the scoring for Canterbury Bulldogs on the 2nd minute. Viliami Vilea scored on the 27th minute. But a penalty before that from Matt Burton and a conversion from Burton over Kiraz's try gave the halftime lead of 8-6 after Johnson's conversion of Vilea's try. Canterbury the lead going into the second half. The second half saw a long ranger from Josh Addo-Carr, as the Fox was too quick for any of the Bulldogs New Zealand Warriors defensive line. He went over on the left edge on the 44th minute, before Marcelo Montoya was a beneficiary of Viliami Vilea's offload to score on the 55th minute for the Warriors. Then in the 66th minute, it was Sean Johnston again who was at the heart of everything. He dummied, stepped and got his way through the centre of the post to score the winning try. That's because he converted to make it 16 points to 14, and the scoring ended there. The Warriors march on to a 3-1 record. Now we come to our second game, with Newcastle playing host to the Raiders on Sunday afternoon in a matchup that is already shaping up to be reminiscent of when the two sides met in August last season. A near full-strength Raiders got the 6-point win at McDonald Jones Stadium, but it wasn't without a scare as the Knights, without the majority of their starting 13, skipped to a 22 points to 8 half-time lead. Canberra's class got them home in the end, and the same appears to be set up again, with Newcastle struggling early with a growing injury toll. The Knights are desperate to correct a shocking home ground record in recent times, but did themselves no favours with a 16 points loss to the Dolphins in front of over 20,000 fans last week. It will feel like a homecoming for several players in the Raiders lineup, with Josh Tarpenny, Tom Starling, Asami Solo, Hudson Young and Zach Wolford, all playing for the Knights, either in the NRL or the lower grades previously. The Raiders hold a 21-20 head-to-head lead over the Knights since 1998, a record that the Green Machine have reeled back in the past decade, after Newcastle held the dominance in the early days of this rivalry. But how did the game go on? Well, it was a man that got the place ahead of England's Dom Young, as Greg Mayhew starred for the Newcastle Knights in their win 24 points to 14. The big experienced winger on debut started the scoring for Newcastle on the 11th minute after Hudson Young went over in the 3rd minute. Following up Mayhew's try, Newcastle Knights had Brad Best to thank for his 17th minute try, which Jack Whiten quickly clawed back as the scores went in at 14 points to 8 due to 2 conversions to none in the first half and a penalty from a 2-point field goal from Matt Frawley on the 39th minute. No one was looking at that, and Frawley decided, let's extend the lead to a converted try. This seemed to fire the Knights up as Mayhew got his 2nd try, followed by Dengagai in what is looking like an even bigger backline for the Newcastle Knights, with Mayhew, Bradman Best and also Dengagai filling those voids. Before Tyson Frizzell scored the final try of the game, it was a sin binning for Jack Whiten as he lifted a man. He was off the floor and connected with a man's head, which was put on report as well as him seeing yellow. Lachlan Miller got 2 conversions out of his 5 attempts, those for Mayhew's 2nd and Dengagai's, but in the end it was for naught, as Newcastle nilled the Raiders in that second half for their 24 points to 14 victory. This means we turn to our 3rd NRL game and the final one for the weekend as round 4 concludes, with St George Illawarra and Cronulla Shark locking horns for the 51st time in their NRL history on Sunday to finish round 4 with a fierce local derby expected to be played out at the Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. Both sides are coming off losses in round 4, setting up an all-important clash between 2 clubs who have given fans plenty of tense battles in the past 3 decades. The Dragons were tussling with the Broncos in Brisbane last start, but their final 10 minutes, where they conceded 4 tries, blew the scoreboard away in an otherwise close contest that could have gone either way for the majority of the match. The Sharks went close to snatching their 2nd win of the season after the Raiders were a bit below par, but were denied with some last-ditch efforts and lacking some discipline, particularly in that first half. After half-time. Cronulla have had the wood over Dragons in recent times to pull the overall history in their favour, but the Red V have enjoyed their clashes at Ugara recently, winning 4 of the last 5 on home turf. The Battle of the Big Boppers between Blake Lawrie and Toby Rudolph will be among the matchups while we watch Will Kennedy and Tyrell Sloan at fullback, having started the season both in fine form. Plenty of attention will be on the halves, with Ben Hunt and Nico Hines going to head, while Cronulla's back five are potent, with the Dragons needing to step up in that area if they're to cause an upset in this clash. So how did the game go? Unfortunately for the Dragons, it went one way. The Cronulla Sharks by 40 points to 8. The game was over by half time, I would say, as not really. It was the second half that got the potential, got the overall win, as the Dragons were nilled in the second half. Will Kennedy and Ben Hunt traded tries in 12 minutes apart, with the fullback for Cronulla getting on the end of a Ronaldo Mulatalo pass to complete that score. Ben Hunt on the 19th minute try was followed up by Jaden Sewer, but that was the last points that the Dragons put on, as the 31st minute saw Jesse Ramian getting over for a try before Ronaldo Mulatalo scored just after half-time on the 43rd minute, Britton Nakora on the 50th, Mulatalo with his second on 57th, Ramian with his second on the 59th, and Sione Katoa scoring on the 68th minute. Nico Hines, whose DNA was all over every single one of the tries for Cronulla, was kicked 5 from 7, with unfortunate not to get in on the try scoring himself. And at the end of the game, on the 79th minute, COC for Talakai scored a 79th minute penalty from in front to complete the points at 40 points to 8. So in the early stages, here's the round 4 ladder, and it's the Brisbane Broncos who top the ladder with 8 points, 4 wins from 4. Manly Seagulls, the Dolphins and the Warriors join South Sydney on 6 points apiece in the second place positions. Then there's a lot of teams on 4, right down from Cronulla all the way to St George Illawarra. One win could see them all boosted up the table. Then there are 2 teams on 2 points. Parramatta got their first win of the season, with Canberra Raiders slouching down after yet another defeat. West Tigers sit bottom of the table yet again, with no points so far this season, after we thought that they were not too far from their first win last time out. A big shout out to our first donator to our Future Rugby League project, as Chad Cooper made a fantastic donation. As there were 2 games played in the Betfred Super League to close out round 6, and it was 2 really good games, to be fair. Catalan's Dragons were the ones that travelled to Leeds Rhinos for the opening game, which was shown live on Channel 4, while Hull FC faced Leeds Leopards at the MKM Stadium at 3 PM the same day. So that opening game, Leeds versus Catalan Dragons, sees Leeds Rhinos who were poor last week, as they succumbed to defeat to Castleford Tigers in what was their first loss in 3 matches, and will need to be a huge improvement on the back of that effort. The Rhinos struggled to get anything going in attack, so may turn to Luke Hooley, with the off-season signing from Batley named in the 21-man squad for the first time in 2023. And also since his arrival as well. Catalan's Dragons maintained their perfect first start as they claimed their 5th win of the season with their clash against Hull KR last week. The Dragons have exceeded all expectations at this early point in the season, having performed so well in spite of a big injury list. There is surely room for improvement with Keeman Mitchell-Pearce being back in the squad. But how did that game turn out? Quite simple, unfortunately. I'll try and get the right one. There we go. It was a Leeds Rhinos victory, 32 points to 22, as the Catalans were nilled in the second half by the Rhinos. even when the Rhinos were down to 12 men. It was a Catalan start on the 4th minute as Tom Davis went over in the right corner, video ref confirming, and Adam Kieran hit over the conversion. Harry Newman went over for a try of his own on the 9th minute, which was followed up on the 13th minute after Rhys Martin did his own work on that left corner to beat out Morgs in scoring his points. Adam Kieran added another try for Catalans to give them the lead once again before Mitchell Pearce's very controversial try close to the post was given by the video referee. Adam Kieran converted that one too, and Catalans looked even better with Paul Seguer scoring on that right side again, with Kieran adding the extras for a 22 points to 8 half-time lead. Harry Newman was sent to the sin bin after he persistently talked his way into the referee's book. He'd given away a penalty first of all for interference in the ruck, and he talked himself further down the field as Catalans were given 10 metres. And then Newman went to the bin as he wouldn't keep quiet. Was warned twice, put in the bin for mouthing off. This didn't deter Leeds though, as with 12 men, Richie Myler scored on the 49th minute, which was followed up by O'Connor's try on the 54th. NRL Alford scored on the 61st minute to give Leeds the lead for the first time, which would have been better had Rhys Martin took his kicking boots with him to the game. He missed all the conversions to that point. Tom Holroyd scored on the 66th minute to extend Leeds' lead to 30 points to 22 thanks to an Aidan Caesar conversion on the 66th minute. And on the 76th minute, Rhys Martin did get a 2-pointer as a penalty from right in front of the post was converted to ironic cheers from the Leeds fans. Catalans though did have a bit of a disappointment as Tyrone May went off with an ankle injury after he twisted it under the full weight of a Leeds defender. But now there is only one team on a 100% record as Leeds come away with a win, 32 points to 22. Our second game sees Hull FC versus Leeds producing an excellent response to their embarrassing response to Salford Red Devils, lost to Salford Red Devils, as they pushed reigning champion St Helens all the way last week. A different bounce of the ball could have seen the Hull claim their victory late on, but that is now 3 successive losses for the Black and Whites, although their hopes of getting back to winning ways could be helped by the potential returns of skipper Carlos Tuimavave and Liam Sutcliffe. For the Leopards, they were unsuccessful in their attempts to make it 3 straight wins as they went down to Warrington Wolves last week. The Leopards showed some quality with the ball in the contest, but will need to be better defensively here if they are to make an immediate return to winning ways. This game against Hull is where they will have Ben Reynolds back from their ban, so that's kicking and also some creativity in the halfbacks. They only have Joe Wardle unavailable. Still unavailable for Hull is Jake Truman, Ben McNamara and Jordan Lane as 2 halfbacks and forward. Can be the difference between win and loss at this point. But how did the 2 teams get fair in the game? It was, in the end, a Lee Leopards victory as Josh Charnley starred in the game. That ended 24 points to 16 in the Leopards' favour. It was Kai O'Donnell who got the try scoring up and running on the 4th minute with Reynolds converting before Charnley scored his first try of the game. On the 7th minute, Reynolds converting that one as well. It was Charnley's second on the 13th minute, which was unsuccessful in converting, but Lee had 16 points on the board. David Litton went over in the right corner for his own try, which was converted by Jake Clifford, which gave a semblance of hope towards half-time for the Hull FC. This was undone though, as Liggy Sow was sent to the sin bin just before half time. Numbers were back up to full strength, but this didn't stop Ben Reynolds in the second half scoring the opening try of the half on the 52nd, a penalty on the 52nd minute. Josh Charnley did score a try in the second half on Leeds Leopards, and it was his hat-trick try. The good effort on that edge against left edge against Davy Litton powered his way over for the hat-trick. Jake Clifford though got his try on the 62nd minute, and he converted that try as Hull started to look for a way back. Further evidence that they were trying to do that was on the 72nd minute, and Liam Sutcliffe went over for a try of his own. Unfortunately, the game was over when Ben Reynolds kicked over a penalty on the 75th minute and gave Leeds Leopards the win at the MKM Stadium. Now, with all the results in from round 6, this is how the league table stands. After Warrington beats Castleford Tigers 38 points to 0, they continued with 6 wins from their 6 games so far. 12 points on the board. Then this is followed by Catalans Dragons, who suffered their first loss of the season at Leeds. Wigan Warriors are third with 4 wins from 2 after their close victory against Salford, 20 points to 16, with Hull KR and Salford coming next in the scoring charts. St Helens have got 6 points as well, but one game behind Wigan Warriors, and could overtake them with the win. Leeds have been happy to move up the table thanks to their victory against Catalan, which is closely followed by Leeds Leopards. Huddersfield just coming out second best for the second time in a week, sees them drop down to 9th, but they're not too far away from going on a big winning run. Hull FC have problems. They have got 2 wins under their belt, which sees them outside of the playoff picture in this early stage. But there's something missing from that whole side, if you know what I mean. Castleford, despite their brave victory against Leeds, sees them second from bottom after they were defeated against Warrington, a rampaging Warrington, 0 for the second time of the season. That's not good for them. Even worse though, Wakefield Trinity, as they sit bottom of the table, no wins so far. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide, as well as clicking on that notification bell for any updates on new videos that may be coming your way in the near future or anytime soon. Tell me what your thoughts are on today's episode in the comment section below, as it's all open for business, but please be respectful, as we are a rugby league channel, not a brawl in a nightclub. Anyway, I know it's just a roundup of the top 2 tiers to close out the Super League and the NRL rounds, but to be fair, there's no real stories going about it, but there are some that I'm going to look into a little bit more for tomorrow's video. We are going to eventually catch up with the Championship and League One, possibly in the future episode tomorrow or even the next day, but at this point there is an episode in the can, all done for you, a lot to go through. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share this video worldwide, and I'll end the episode as I always do by wishing you all the very best, so please stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.